Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Ham Nation is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by Icom. For more information, visit IcomAmerica.com/HamNation. By Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, go to Harry's.com. Get $5 off your first purchase by entering the code HAMNATION when you check out. And by DX Engineering. DX Engineering offers practically everything you need to outfit your shack, plus the fastest shipping in the industry. In-stock items ship the same day, Monday through Friday until 10 p.m. Eastern. For more information, visit DXEngineering.com.
This is Ham Nation, episode 217 for October 7th, 2015. S.O.S. Lithuania. Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode of Ham Nation tonight. I'm George from Jackson, Mississippi. Bob Hall is not with us tonight. He's on the road, as is Don Wilbanks. Don is out cruising the coast in his hot rod tonight, so he won't be with us. But we do have Val, who's got some interesting stuff coming up tonight. Hi, Val.
Hi, I'm back, everybody. Sorry I was gone. Sorry I was under the weather. Hopefully you don't get whatever I had. It lasts a long time, but I've got some great stuff coming up. I'm going to be talking about how to pay it forward. I got a really good when all else fails story. And, of course, DXing and contesting. So you're going to want to stick around.
Of course, we're going to have Amanda with us a little bit later. And we've got Dale will be here tonight with some more videos. But over in Costa Mesa, we've got one of the usual suspects, Gordo. Hi, Gordo.
Well, hi, George. And wow, what a day. If anybody tried high frequency, it was not there due to major solar eruptions yesterday that absolutely nuked the ionosphere today. Convoys on the air for about another week, N4N. And coming up this October 10th and 11th, this weekend, the Dutch Fork Amateur Radio Group out in Little Mountain, South Carolina. They got rained out big time last week, so they said we're on for the 10th. Same thing for Wheaton Community Amateur Radio. They have classes starting on the 10th, and on the 10th, Tupelo Amateur Radio Club getting together at the airport. Now, the biggie is weekend after next, and Bob will be there. I'll be there. Ham Nation's Garlic Mike will be there, and a lot of other Ham Nation players. Pacificon San Ramon, and we'll give you a view of Pacificon next week with some slides. I won't be here. I'll be up at Pacificon. And also next week is Jamboree on the Air. If you get a chance, listen to K2BSA. They're taking it a step further and putting a real exercise, a real life exercise in on the Scouts Jamboree on the Air. Also, weekend after next, microwave update out here in San Diego at the Crown Plaza Hotel. And then that next weekend, I head for the ARRL State Convention in Kingman, Arizona. George, a full week ahead. Back to you.
Boy, it sounds like it. I'm sorry I'm going to miss y'all at Pacificon this year. We had a great time out there last time I went, but y'all have a good time for the rest of us, and we'll look forward to a full report when you get back. But you don't have to wait 2 weeks or 2 weekends to have fun. This coming weekend, we're going to be celebrating the 10th anniversary of Amateur Logic. We've got my partner Tommy will be with us a little bit later in the show to talk a little more about that and some of the things that are going to be going on. There he is right there. He'll be back.
Tommy.
Gordo, what are we going to look at on short shots this week?
Well, we have a lot of hams that take part in Navy Marine Mars that have now switched over to Army Mars. Army Mars was just invited to take part in shares, and that means a lot of hopping around on high frequency. And I thought we would talk about automatic antenna tuners. And one of the least expensive I've found, that's one of the top quality tuners, is made by good old Icom America, the AH4. So, Victor, if you don't mind, let's take a look at automatic antenna tuners. There's some great automatic antenna tuners out there. Started with Motorola, then SGC, but they were in the $400 to $500 range. Now they're down all the way to a little over $200 for that little guy on the left, the Icom AH4, that works exclusively with Icom equipment. Now, this is the old SGC. They're still very usable, sells for about $1,000, and they're usable with any radio, whereas the Icom works with the Icom. So automatic antenna tuners find themselves aboard sailboats where they use the insulated backstay and the all-important ground, well, that's the seawater. And aboard power boats, they use a big white fiberglass whip. Nothing special inside that whip other than a copper conductor. And again, they use the seawater as ground. So automatic antenna tuners around boats and ships are big time. For ham radio operators, Icom comes out with, and it's seen selling at Ham Radio Outlet and other places for about $230 to $250. And by the way, you bet they've got them at DX Engineering at this price, is the AH4. But the AH4, oh my gosh, you got to wire it up yourself. Big deal. Let me show you how easy. Break open the two wiring kits. One is coax and one is the 4-conductor cable. Take the tuner out of the well-protected box. And then the next step is to set aside the cable and the drawings. And they give you great information on how to wire it up with the drawings. And then you take off the screws all the way around the tuner. Now, these are pesky screws because they don't have keepers. And as soon as you set the top down, the screws will fall out. So do it on a white surface, not a black surface. When you open up the top, you'll see that there's a gasket. Don't get that gasket screwed up. That gasket has to remain absolutely in place, and it's just sitting there. It's not glued in. It's not stapled in. That gasket is right there, ready to get left off if you aren't careful. This is the inside of the Icom AH4. These are the control lines, the power, the start, and the stop tune. And they've already been pre-tinned. And you first pass them through the little tiny keepers that go into the bottom of the tuner. Put them in this one first because it allows you to go ahead and weatherproof them. Pull them through, and then get them lined up to where they're going to go into this little socket. 4 positions. Black on top, it says right on the circuit board, red, white, and green. You can't screw up, maybe unless you're colorblind. Anyway, you push them in, and then when they're sort of in, you push down on the little white deal, and they'll drop all the way in. Then give them a tug to make sure you got all 4 of those in. Again, black, red, white, and green's right there on the circuit board. This ought to take you 1 minute max. Be sure that they're seated all the way down to the insulation around each of the wires. Next, we want to provide a little bit of weatherproofing. These are automatic tuners are weatherproof, so we use the little sticky stuff that they have, and we pull it through the little grommet holes, and now we've got a good weatherproof connection on the bottom of that Icom tuner. Next we're going to do is tighten it up, and we squish that little goo down. Now we're ready for the coax. But wait a minute, the coax, yeah, you got to put the connector on. You first pass it through the lid, the top lid of the hole on the lid of the tuner, and then you work on the coax, never over the tuner. 1 little bit of copper, and you cooking the tuner. So work on the coax connector with enough coax after you pass it through the lid that you can do this work outside of the tuner area so you don't get any of the little strands inside there. First, cut back the coax, and this is This is Icom coax that they supply. It's bigger than RG8X, smaller than RG8U. It has a center conductor, and you got to use their coax because, as you'll see in the next shot, only their antenna PL259-I for Icom works. First, we fan back the braid. Take a good look. Make sure there's not any that are trying to get over there to the center conductor. This is the Icom connector, specifically for their coax with the AH4. Screw it on, and then you're going to solder the center conductor, and then you're going to solder through the two holes to attach the braid. And if you look real carefully after we've screwed on the outside connector ring, you'll see a little bit of the braid showing through. That's okay. That provides a good contact just in case if ever your solder got loose on the braid. So you're in good shape there. Screw it onto the tuner, and then do a double inspection. Make sure that all the wires and everything is in place, and then very carefully on the Icom AH4 tuner, slide the cover back. Oh, wait a minute. Don't slide it back yet. Take a look. See that gasket? That little guy tries to wiggle free, so you got to make sure it's absolutely in place before you dog it down. Once you have the gasket in place, double check that your connectors are all nice and squished closed. The top one is coax. The bottom one is the 4-conductor Icom control line for the AH4. Then we wrap a coax seal. You get it at Reynoldsburg, Ohio, as well as DX Engineering has it. Coax seal around the connections, because remember, this is going to maybe be hanging on your tower. Next, we're going to talk about the ground. Well, no problem. You're going to mount it to your steel tower with the supplied stainless steel clamps. Wrong. You see that big plate on the bottom? That goes to nothing. That is only a plate that holds the tuner onto the tower or wherever you decide to mount it. It does not ground. Your ground is that little ground stud that you see sticking out to the left. For home installations where the tuner's protected, you can use good old copper ground foil that you can also get at all the leading ham radio stores. Dog down the ground connection, and we always use foil rather than a wire to minimize any inductive reactance that you would get with wire. Then on the hot pin, that's the hot insulator there. That's the high voltage. And believe me, this tuner can generate some pretty high voltage. We go ahead and we heat shrink the connection there, and we add the antenna wire. Anything longer than about 15 feet of wire, and you'll be playing down to 40 meters. Anything more than about 25 to 30 feet of wire, and the tuner will click in inductance to get you all the way down to 75 meters. And, you know, you could even do maybe 160 meters as well. So these automatic antenna tuners are really marvelous pieces of equipment. The Icom, yep, you got to do a little bit of pre-wiring, but you just saw how easy we did it. So antenna tuners, get one that matches the rig. And for the Icom radios, it's the AH4. Take you about 1 hour to get the whole thing finished off. Put it up there. Make sure your transceiver sees the tuner and push the tune button. And about 2 seconds later, you're now loading into the tuner where SWR from the tuner to the radio is minimal, and you get maximum punch on that antenna wire with a good ground. So, George, that's my story here. You being the tower guy, back to you. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks after my visit to Pacificon with happy birthday, Bob Heil. George?
Yeah, let me ask you a little bit about that tuner. One thing, I don't know if we mentioned it, that is a really nice tuner. And the thing that's really nice about it, besides a good price, is that, and that's why you have the gasket, that goes outside near your antenna, which means you don't have all that standing wave on the coax running back into the shack. Isn't that correct?
That's absolutely correct. So without high SWR that you could deal with down with a manual tuner, but you're going to lose a lot of power out, this tuner goes right at the feed point, and now the SWR is flat from the feed point all the way down to your rig.
And on that PL259, you said that was a special one that fits Icom's coax. I assume the other end of the PL259, is that a standard size that you could use?
The other end of the coax requires also that Icom PL259. It's a strange one. You won't find that an RGU 258 or 259 will compensate for the coax, so you got to use the two Icom connectors. And you know, they give you the connectors right in the package that comes with the tuner. Then if you need a longer antenna run, you can do a very good weatherproof connection and go for larger coax.
So you could use a regular Amphenol connector if you were going to use standard coax.
Yeah, you sure could, and that would work out just fine.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good information, Gordo. You know, I like that idea, you know, because being a broadcast engineer, really, I know the tuner belongs out at the antenna feed point, not really in the shack with us. We just do it because it's convenient for hams, and it gives us a way to tune a lot. But really, yeah, it ought to be out there at the feed point.
Yep, that's why it's so important, George, that when that tuner is finally ready to roll, that these connections, these two connections right here, are well sealed, and that everything is in place when you mount it on the tower. And again, remember, you've got to ground to the tower via the ground post, not these two tower mounting brackets that are actually floating. They're not grounded at all.
Okay, so you will be at Pacificon next week. Will you and Bob be live from there for Ham Nation, or will you be Memorex and we'll see it later?
We'll probably be Memorex in that we're actually going up with Tracy and Jody and Marilyn in a vehicle to stop and talk with a bunch of clubs on the way up. So next Wednesday, we'll be halfway up, and if we can get a signal in, we'll give it a try.
Oh, good deal. All right, Gordo, always good to see you every week, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here in a couple of weeks. And maybe some of us will catch you on the air on your drive up.
Oh, yeah. We'll be on 40 and 20 meters, you betcha.
All right. Well, thanks for that and everything you do for the hobby. Well, right now we want to, let's see, what do we want to do? We want to get Tommy in here with us, N5ZNO. Good evening, Tommy.
Hey, George, good to see you again.
Hey, Tommy.
Well, it's probably been, like 3 days since I saw you?
Probably has. There he is,
As you can
Gordo.
tell, I'm coming to you from live from Hotel Studio here, so pardon the background. I didn't bring my green screen with me this week.
Well, it looks almost green.
It's close.
Well, the reason I had you on here, besides Bob and Don being out this week, so we had a little spot here, is you and I've got a special event going on this weekend, along with our friend Peter and maybe another one of our friends there that we'll just hold everyone in suspense on that because we don't know for sure yet ourselves. But what is that event coming up this weekend?
Yeah. Well, we've been doing Amateur Logic for 10 years now, so this is going to be our 10-year anniversary show, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been that long. We've been editing on video for the last week or two, getting together some highlights over the last 10 years. We did this at the 7-year anniversary and had a blast. And really, we had so much footage that it took 2 episodes to play it all. We're going to try to condense it a little better where we can fit it all into one this time around. But really some fun things. And it's good to look back. It doesn't seem like it's been 10 years, but I think Twits hit their 10-year anniversary not very long ago, too. So there's not a lot of us around who've been doing video podcasts for 10 years, but we're kind of glad to be in that club.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. It's been a lot of fun. The last 10 years have been great, and I hope we're able to do it for at least 10 more.
Yeah, I do, too. We just saw a little photo there from the website on Ham College. That's another show that we do that we introduced back in January. That's
Great show.
That's been a lot of fun to do. It's really, though, what we're going to be celebrating is Amateur Logic's 10 years. We're going to have Peter Barrett, VK3PB, our partner from Melbourne, Australia. He'll be joining us, as well as maybe maybe another one of our early partners there. We hope that he can make it in there. We might, I don't know that we'll have any torch action, but we could have some fun, couldn't we, Tommy?
Well, you never know. I'm going to bring the extinguisher just in case. Good to have around.
Yeah, it is. Well, so you're not at home. You're, I guess, I was going to say telecommuting, but that's not right at all, is it?
No, actually physically commuting. I work in Dallas pretty much every week, and I'm out here in the hotel right now. So as you can tell by my surroundings. But anyway, I'll be back in time for the weekend, though. Looking forward to that. I brought a hard drive full of video, and I've been sitting here editing video in the evenings, trying to get everything prepared.
Yeah, I still got some more to do myself. Well, of course, we're both hams, and that's not how we met, though. We actually met a little bit before coming hams. Why don't we tell everyone briefly just how we came to know each other?
Yes, I've actually known you almost as long as I've known my wife. I was thinking about that earlier. I guess it must have been 1989 when I met you. I remember responding to a bulletin board message where you had posted asking if any Quick Basic 4.5 programmers were in the Jackson area, and I remember responding to that. I was pretty surprised to see that there was another one in the area. And anyway, we've done quite a number of projects over the last, 26 years now? Quite a number of projects over that period of time. Everything from programming projects, numerous things. I'm sure we'll go into a lot more of that this weekend. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun and a pretty long time.
Yeah, bulletin board. There might be some folks watching Ham Nation here that are not familiar with that term. I think most of us will be, but that was back in the day before we really knew what the internet was or had access to it. We all used bulletin boards, and you'd connect up on your dial-up modem, and there were some message boards on there that you could post messages, and I had posted one on there looking for some more Quick Basic programmers in town, because that's really the way you got together then. Like I say, we didn't have the internet. You could use CompuServe or something maybe, but that got expensive. So we tried to find people in town, with a similar interest. And apparently we were the only two Quick Basic programmers in Jackson.
Yeah, I remember the bulletin board was called Programmer's Haven. And I remember the guy that ran it, and it was mostly D-Base 3 stuff on there. And so I think we were pretty much the only Quick Basic guys on there.
Yeah, but that was a lot of fun, and it was a really good language in the DOS days. I know the C people would not agree with that, but hey, it was approachable, easy to learn, and you could do a pretty good bit with it. And we kind of stretched it and used libraries and stuff, and wrote some programming tools for it. Compiler utilities and stuff. So
distribute some programming tools and utilities as well. Some of the ones that we wrote, shared them with others. Remember the old shareware days?
Oh yeah. We must have made at least $200 on shareware, huh?
Yeah, I know. Pretty much blew it all on other programming tools, though.
Yeah, but that it's supported.
It's up our ham gear. So I'm sorry, that was kind of our ham gear back then. Now I spend my money on ham gear. Back then it was programming stuff.
Yep. So I shortly after we met, maybe a couple of years, I got licensed, got my ham ticket, and of course I drug Tommy right along. He was within a few months there, he's getting his ticket too, and it's been a lot of ham radio since then. But Tommy, I appreciate you coming on here tonight and speaking with us a few minutes, and looking forward to seeing you this weekend. We're going to have a big time over at amateurlogic.tv. It'll be live.amateurlogic.tv, 7 p.m. Central. Saturday night. I'm not sure what time that is UTC because I didn't look it up before we got on tonight. But join us over there if you're looking for something to do Saturday night. If not, catch the video later. It's going to be a 10-year look back at some of the early days of ham radio podcasting.
Yeah, doing my gazentas here, I think that was probably 0100 UTC. So anyway, I appreciate y'all having me on here. It's fun, and y'all come join us this weekend if you don't have anything to do.
All right.
73.
I'll see you then. See you then, Tommy.
Wow.
Hey, let's
Congratulations. Happy 10, George. Happy 10, Tommy.
Well, thank you,
Thanks.
Gordo. It's been a fun 10, and hey, hopefully we can do another 10. Well, we'll be back in just a moment, but first, let's get this message from Icom. The fall season kicks off a fun time of the year, contesting. Whether you just jump in for a few hours or plan your week around the weekend strategy, Icom has you covered. Contesting on a budget? Check out the IC7410, 32-bit floating point DSP unit, all mode, SSB, CW ready, AM and FM, and plus 30 dBm third order intercept point to clearly receive the weakest signals. Icom's IC7600 has your window to the contest, the Spectrum Scope, LED backlighting on an ultra-wide 5.8-inch display, dual watch on the same band, advanced DSP technology, and 3 IF roofing filters. For low power category performance, just drop down the power to meet your low power requirements with Icom's IC7700. Spectrum waterfall display on an impressive 7-inch color LCD, audio scope function for AF observation, and direct remote control operation with Icom's RS-BA1 software. And with Icom's IC7851, when running with the big boys, you'll be leading the pack with all the pile-up breaking frequency running tools at your fingertips. 1.2 kHz optimum roofing filter, new local oscillator design with improved phase noise, and several spectrum scope enhancements. Make sure you visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on Icom's selection of contesting rigs. And you can tune in and enter to win after each episode of Ham Nation. Go to icomamerica.com/hamnation. Throw your name in the hat for some great swag prizes like Icom t-shirts and hats, posters, and a number of different prizes that they give away. While you're there, you can also learn how you could win in the monthly grand prize drawing. That's a radio. And for October, we've got the winner now. For September. The prize was the ID51A 50th anniversary edition, like the one I've got right here. It's a VHF UHF dual band handy talkie dual watch with D-Star, integrated GPS, micro SD card slot, fast DV data, a near repeater list up for DV and analog repeaters, enhanced DPRS, and a lot more. And our lucky winner is Mike N6JVH. Congratulations, Mike. Icom's going to be getting one of these out to you. But fear not, we've got another prize coming up October. Icom's going to be giving away an ID880H VHF UHF digital transceiver. It's switchable VHF UHF bands, 50 watts on either band. It's got D-Star, wideband receiver. It's got weather alert, free downloadable cloning software, and a whole lot more. So go to icomamerica.com/hamnation after this and each episode of Ham Nation and register to win. Somebody's going to win it. Might as well be you. Well, I just noticed in the chat room there that Tommy and I kind of got the crowd stirred up there talking about old computer days and ancient technology. I saw CPM go by there. I saw the Commodore 64, the Coco, a lot of good computer trivia going on right now in the chat room. So I'm going to join you in there for a couple of minutes, guys, while we listen to Don Wilbanks bring us up on the news.
From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 1979, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, October 7th, 2015. Neil Young saying rust never sleeps, and the same can be said of email scammers. A number of ARRL members have reported to the league that they received an email from ARRL Webmail Admin with account upgrade in the subject line. The email requests such personal information as usernames and passwords and includes a bogus message telling the recipient that the accounts are being removed and upgraded to an enhanced service. The ARRL emphatically states that this is not an official message and is cautioning recipients of these emails. Andy Sheffrin, KB1YHB, the ARRL's IT Infrastructure and Operations Manager, says the ARRL is aware of this phishing scheme and is working to block the sender's email address at our upstream provider. As with any emails of unknown origin, do not open or reply. In short, ignore it. If you develop problems with your email forwarding, contact the ARRL IT department. Their email is itstaff@arrl.org. One of the most rewarding parts of ham radio is the tradition of teaching or Elmering. Now, that's usually done on the local level, but Stephen Kinford, N8WB, has the story of some Elmers who have gone the extra mile, or several thousand.
Ken Clairbout, Kilo 4 Zulu Whiskey, is an electrical engineer and a member of the Potomac Valley Radio Club near his home in Stafford, Virginia. But sometimes you can catch him operating out of the Echo Tango 3 Alpha Alpha Club station in Ethiopia, where he's been a part of a team that includes Bob Schenk, November 2 Oscar Oscar of the Old Barney Amateur Radio Club in New Jersey. The veteran radio amateurs have been lending moral and technical support to the 20 or so students at Addis Ababa University's Institute of Technology.
Being a very active ham operator, contesting, DXing, and all that stuff, I had heard about the club station, and one of the guys that's a member of our local club, Dave K3 Lima Papa, was also involved in supporting it. And I think in December of 2011, he and a group of people went over to Ethiopia and bought a bunch of equipment, and they took the U.S. license exams, and they've been supporting it. So through Dave, I got in touch with Ben Sid, ET3 SID. He was he's retired, living there, and he was kind of the mentor, the whole driving force behind the club station and amateur radio in Ethiopia. And so that's kind of how I, first couple of trips I didn't meet up with him, but eventually I thought I got to do this.
The student licenses remain, for now anyway, an unresolved matter. In Ethiopia, where ham radio licenses are rare, the government will only license the club, not to the students themselves. Many instead have U.S. licenses. There are, unfortunately, some things that even the best of Elmers can't fix, but Clairbout and his team are working on it.
There's a lot more to Stefan's story, and you can hear it all in this week's Amateur Radio Newsline report. The Pennsylvania QSO party is coming up as we hear from our man in Philly, Mark Abramovich, NT3V.
The Nittany Amateur Radio Club in State College, Pennsylvania is sponsor of this event, which traces its roots back to 1957. Michael Koslow, N3LI, is chairman of this year's Pennsylvania party.
The goal is to operate as many counties as possible and as many sections as possible and as many individual contacts as possible if you're from Pennsylvania. If you are outside of Pennsylvania, you want to get as many contacts as possible and as many counties as possible. The big goal in the party is to get all 67 counties.
And there is also a bonus station running multi-multi, that's multiple operators, multiple stations in Wyoming County in northeastern Pennsylvania. Koslow says it's worth a bunch of points each time you work it.
Our bonus station this year is KQX Group using call sign W3C.
Koslow says last year he saw an increase in the number of logs, and with good propagation, he is expecting increases this year too.
Everything you need to know is at the Nittany Amateur Radio Club website. You'll find that at nittany-arc.net. And finally this week, there's Aeronautical Mobile, and then there's Mark Meltzer, AF6IM. He's taken Aeronautical Mobile to a whole nother level. Metzler was in freefall, 13,500 feet above Byron, California, after launching himself from a King Air 90 jump ship. He then activated two important pieces of equipment. He deployed a 200-square-foot rectangular ram air canopy and turned on his chest-mounted Yaesu FT-817. With the help of a trailing wire end-fed dipole antenna, Metzler began calling on 28.425 upper sideband. He made a total of 12 contacts while en route back to Earth, but not before switching to 2 meters on FM and grabbing a few more QSOs en route to the drop zone. His jump was preparation. On October 17th, he'll participate in Parachute Mobile Mission 22 that will take place in conjunction with the ARRL Pacificon event in San Ramon, California. To find out more, just why don't you take a flying leap and go to parachutemobile.org. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for over 37 years and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Stephen Kinford, N8WB, Mark Abramovich, NT3V, and Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 73. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.
Well, thanks, Don Wilbanks. Don is not with us tonight. He recorded that earlier. He's cruising the coast in his hot rod down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, a big event that I think they do once a year, but I know everyone down there really looks forward to it every year. And it's not a race or anything like that. I think they just get in their antique cars and ride up and down the highway down there. I believe it's Highway 90. But sounds like a good time. I'm going to have to go down there one year. Boy, the chat room has really been on fire here talking about old computer stuff since Tommy and I mentioned the bulletin boards earlier. I've seen Apple 1s, 2s, VIC 20s, Commodore 64s, Cocos, TRS 80s, 486s, Altairs, just, boy, every type of old computer you could think of they're talking about in there right now. While they're doing that, let me give away something here. Last week I asked a question, and you'll have to go back and look at it to see exactly what I was talking about. But I showed this capacitor that I had pulled out of a piece of gear. It's 1,000 microfarads at 50 volts. I connected it across an ohm meter set to R times 1K, and it didn't read anything. And I asked the question, is this capacitor good or is it bad? Well, we had a winner, and that was Bill KE5XV. Bill said the capacitor that you tested with a Simpson 260 is no good. The capacitor looks like a short circuit when you first apply DC voltage to it, which is what would be coming out the ends of a voltometer probe. And then it slowly discharges to where it becomes an open circuit. So what you would see if I could hold my meter and this capacitor and two probes at the same time, which I'm not going to try to do, but if I put an ohm meter across here, you'd see the scale on the ohm meter would jump up, and then it would slowly start dropping down. That would tell me that this is a good capacitor because you could see it charge and then discharge. When you measure a big capacitor like this, 1,000 microfarad, probably anything a microfarad or better, you're going to see the meter swing up just a little bit and fall down. On a real small capacitor, the picofarad range, something like that, you won't see that. But on electrolytics, larger capacitors, you're going to see that type of action. And that meter should fall all the way back down to infinity. If it doesn't, then that capacitor is leaky. So congratulations, Bill. We're going to send you this copy of the Contest University 2015 textbook, courtesy of DX Engineering. They'll be getting that out to you this week. For next week, we're going to give away another book here. I've got a copy of QRP Projects from Down Under by Dave Diamond, VK3XU, courtesy of MFJ Enterprises. It's a great book with a lot of different QRP projects in it, some building techniques, a lot of different things. Highly recommended reading. If you'd like to win that, then answer this question for me. If you were stranded on a desert island and could only have one piece of test equipment, what would it be? And there's really no wrong answer for this. I just want to see what everybody says, and then we'll do a random drawing. So send your answer to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com, and tell me, if you were stranded on a desert island, what one piece of test equipment would you want with you? And we'll award somebody this QRP Projects from Down Under book. Well, now let's have another message from Don, and then we'll come back and get Val in.
Hey, let's talk about Harry's. You know I'm a Harry's man, and Harry's fixes a problem that most of us have, and that is paying too much for overpriced razors. Let's face it, shaving is not fun. It's a chore. You can cut yourself, scrape yourself. Dull blades are the worst for that, by the way. And razors can be expensive. They can run you about $4 a blade. Look at a guy who shaves every day. He can spend hundreds of dollars a year just on razors. For instance, the Gillette Fusion, for example. Those dudes are expensive. And, of course, when you go to the store to buy them, you got to deal with the locked-up plexiglass cabinets and finding somebody with a key. It's just a pain. Well, Harry's is changing everything there is to know about shaving. First off, you get high-quality razors at about half the price of the big brand blades. And you know why you get them for half price? Because Harry's makes their own razors in their own factory. In their own, well, okay, maybe they don't own the country, but it's in Germany. German steel is the best. They make their razors in their own factory in Germany. They're engineered for sharpness and high performance, and they will be shipped free to your door. And because they make and ship their own blades, Harry's is a much more efficient company. They can give you factory direct pricing, and your satisfaction is absolutely guaranteed. In every kit, you get a razor with a handle that looks and feels great, 3 razor blades, foaming shave gel. It's good stuff, too. It's really good stuff. The starter Truman set is an absolutely amazing deal. You get all that for only $15. I've been using Harry's for a while now. You know I've talked about this a lot. I'm a confirmed electric guy. I see Harry's as it's a treat. It's something I do to pamper myself. I went to a wedding recently. I got my Harry's out, and I got myself a nice, clean, close Harry's shave, and I was the second sharpest-looking cat there, right behind the groom. I was even better looking than the best man. And let me tell you something else that's nice about Harry's. My wife, Dawn, loves. She cannot keep her hands off of my hairy face. Harry face, not Hairy. You're going to love the look and the feel of the set, and you're going to love the price. Harry's cost half as much as razors at the store. They also have an aftershave moisturizer that will protect and hydrate your skin, and my wife has her own Harry's razor, and she loves it too. So you can be a Harry's guy or a Harry's gal. Just go to harrys.com. You'll get $5 off your first purchase with code HAMNATION. HARRYS.com. Enter code HAMNATION at checkout, and you will be a confirmed Harry's person as well. Harry's, thank you so much for your support of Ham Nation.
And thank you, Don. I was looking at the chat room there once again during that announcement from Don right there. Somebody, I don't remember who it was now, said that for their piece of test equipment on a desert isle, they wanted a ham radio and a charged battery. No, that doesn't count. I don't consider a ham radio test equipment. You might, though, I guess, depending on what you do with it. But anyway, we're looking for more traditional test equipment answers there. And no, there is no AC power available on the desert island. You could have power if you happen to have batteries in your piece of test equipment that you brought along with you, or that maybe you found while you were there. Who knows? Well, let's get Val to come in here and bail me out of that one and see what she's talking about tonight. Val, I think you got some special stuff for us tonight, don't you?
Yes, I do. And I just want to say congratulations to you and Tommy on 10 years. That's really amazing. A lot of marriages don't even last that long. So way to go on that one. Well, I know you guys have all heard those guys out there. You know, they're on their DX station is out there running split, and that guy's calling on the DX's calling frequency. Or maybe you've heard that guy out there on your local repeater, and he's not giving his call sign every 10 minutes. Well, there's a lot of operating missteps by a lot of new hams out there. And I think a lot of it has to do with many people today are getting their tickets either through a book online or those quick weekend classes, which I'm guilty of. That's how I got my ticket. And they're really good at teaching you all about amateur radio and rules and regulations, but a lot of them not so much on operating procedure. And that's where we come in. So I am showing you a video on how to implement a mentor program at your ham radio club. So if you want to go ahead and roll that, Victor. Okay, I'm going to talk to you guys about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's becoming an Elmer or a mentor for new hams out there. So all you DXers, contesters, you homebrewers, if you're a QRPer, or maybe you're into public service, or if you're just a member of a local repeater club or a bunch of guys that get together for breakfast every Saturday, you know, it's time to start paying it forward by becoming an Elmer.
Are you ready to get down to business and do exactly what I tell you to do?
So here's a few steps you can do to implement a mentor program at your club. So first thing you're going to want to do is recruit some mentors. They're probably your friends, people at your local clubs, places like that. It's pretty easy to find some people willing to mentor. Now break this mentor list down into their specialties like DXing or QRPing or VHF. Now, you're going to need to find new hams, and I'm going to go into that in a little bit on where you can get new hams. Also, you might want to have a mentor night at your club or your shack. That would be a lot of fun. Make it a big event.
Does anybody want to play Parcheesi? Okay, who brought the dog?
You're also going to want to try and match up the Elmers with the new hams who have similar interests. Makes it a lot more successful that way. And always recognize their accomplishments. It's a lot of work for the ham and the mentor, so make sure you recognize them.
For distinguished duty in the face of overwhelming something.
And of course, to keep a strong club, you're going to want to keep repeating this process. Now here's a look at the ARRL statistics for licensed hams in the U.S. as of July this year. It's almost 750,000, but if you zero in on the technician column, look at that. There's almost 360,000 technician class licensees in the U.S.
They're everywhere.
So where are all these new hams? Well, some of them are right under your nose at your local clubs or at the VE testing sessions. Or the ARRL actually has a list of new or upgraded hams in your areas. So a good idea to start at your club is to designate somebody at your club who's there specifically to welcome all new hams and guests at your meetings. Now they can get to know them, get to know what part of the hobby they're interested in, and to better match them up with a proper Elmer. Another great source of new hams, if the test applicants are willing, have your local VEs get their contact information. You can then proactively call them up, set them up with an Elmer, or invite them to a mentor meeting. And if your club is an ARRL affiliated club, you actually have access to a list of newly licensed or upgraded hams in your area right on their website. So get out there and become an Elmer, a mentor, someone's hero, and let's keep this hobby growing and let's keep it strong.
Good luck. We're all counting on you.
So hopefully you guys are all going to get out there and start mentoring. And if you guys do have any successful mentoring stories, I want to hear about it. My address is good on QRZ, so email me with your story, and I may mention it on Ham Nation. And you know, we did have that mentor, Matt Walsh, came out to our shack, and it was really a lot of fun. So get out there and do your part, pay it forward, and let's keep this hobby strong. Also, fall's here, a lot of DX. I'm going to tell you about the 3 juiciest ones going on right now. The Tango X-Ray 3 X-Ray is going on, and that's Chesterfield Islands. And that's going to be going on only until the 12th. So you have about 5 days. There's the boat that they took in on, and there it is located just outside of Australia, near New Caledonia. So 5 more days, weather permitting. So if you need them, get out there ASAP, because you never know what could happen with weather on these islands. Also, there's a bunch of Polish operators out on Seychelles right now, the Sugar 79 Sugar Papa, and they're going to be there until the 18th. And no, that's not a fake picture. That's a real photo. Doesn't it look fake? It's just gorgeous. Seychelles is a really beautiful part of the world off the African coast. It's in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Also, Tuvalu, Tango 2 Golf Charlie, they're going to be there through the 14th. So those are the 3 biggies going on. As a matter of fact, I work those, and so I just went from 299 to I'm up to 302 countries right now. So those 3 helped me get over that 300 hump. It seemed like I was on that 299 number for a long time. A lot of contests going on as well. Now that falls here, as Don had mentioned, you've got the Pennsylvania QSO party, also Arizona QSO parties going on this weekend. Oceania DX CW this weekend as well. And one of my favorites, the Scandinavian Activity Contest Sideband, that's this weekend. And I'm going to tell you real quickly why that's my favorite. I started contesting 4 years and 1 week ago. for the California QSO party. That was my very first contest I worked, and I had such a blast. The very next weekend, I got up, turned on my radio, and there were all these Scandinavians having this Scandinavian activity contest. Well, I decided to just start handing out a few QSOs, still in my robe and my PJs, and I'm handing out these QSOs. I'm having a blast. 4 hours later, maybe, I can't remember how long, I finally stopped. Well, weeks later, I get an email from the people running the Scandinavian activity contest, and they're like, I noticed you're in a bunch of people's logs, but you never sent us your log. Please send us your log. So I sent my log in. Guess what? I won first place USA. I didn't even realize it. So always send your log in. That's what I'm going to say. Now, there's actually, over the next 7 days, there's 19 contests going on. So if you go to my QRZ page and you go down to my contest section, there's actually a contest calendar you can click on, and it's going to always tell you the up-to-date contests. Also, for those of you just starting off, every Tuesday there's the phone fray contest. That might be a good one to test your contesting skills in, or for those of you who just want to tune up on your contesting skills, that's on Tuesdays. Also on Wednesdays, it's every other Wednesday, the CW Ops group always has their CWT contest, and that's at 3 separate times throughout the day on Wednesdays, so you can keep those CW skills up. But contests galore out there right now, so get out there and have some fun. Also, last, I want to tell you my when all else fails story. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and tonight I had some time, so I thought I'd tell you about that. Now, 25 years ago, I don't know how many of you can remember that far back, a lot of the Soviet republics were breaking off from the Soviet Union, if some of you guys can remember that. And the first one to do that was Lithuania. They did that in early 1990. Well, fast forward 1 year to January of 1991. There was a ham radio operator. He's sitting in his shack on a Saturday night. There's an ice storm going on, and he's tuning around on 20-meter sideband. And he hears a frantic call from a Lithuanian station, Lima Yankee 2 Bravo Alpha Whiskey. And he's frantically calling for any U.S. stations to hear his signal. Well, the ham that heard that signal was none other than Jerry, WB9Z here in Illinois, along with Jurgen, N9RD in Indiana. Well, it turns out they had declared their independence back in 1990, but in January of 1991, the Soviet Union had invaded Lithuania. They came in with their tanks and soldiers. They started shooting unarmed civilians. They killed 14, wounded 140 more, took over all the TV radio stations, cut off all communications, no faxes, no phones, no telex. So the Lithuanian people could not get any messages out to the world that the Russians had invaded their country, except for Lima Yankee 2 Bravo Alpha Whiskey on his ham radio with Jerry and Jurgen. And his name was, hopefully I'm saying it right, Tadas. It's a Tadas. So anyway, Jerry happened to know a ham radio operator that worked at CNN. So he had the phone number for the Washington Bureau at CNN. He called them up. The ham radio operator that he knew was not on duty at the time, but he did get a hold of a reporter at CNN at the Washington Bureau. And Jurgen got a hold of a Chicago news outlet. So here these two guys are on the phone with these new media outlets while talking to Tadas on their ham radio and relaying all that information to these news outlets. And within 45 minutes, CNN broke the story that Lithuania was being invaded by the Soviet Union, and they credited ham radio to that. Well, eventually, as 20 meters propagation does change and the signal went long, they had to pass that off, the talking to Tadas off to the West Coast. And so, and it just kept going all the way around the world. Ham radios all over the world stayed on communication with the Lima Yankee 2 Bravo Alpha Whiskey, and it ended up being about 50 hams. And maybe 10 months later, Jerry got this in the mail. And this is from the president of Lithuania, congratulating him and thanking him for his part in getting the word out on that. So how cool is that? So when you hear when all else fails, this is a great example of that. So if you want to see more about that, I actually put on my QRZ page, I have a link to the YouTube video of Tadas being interviewed about that whole story and how it went down. So if you want to see that, I've got it there. It's also on Wikipedia as well. So that's all I've got for this week. Stay tuned. In 2 weeks, we're starting to put all our beverages up. We've got a mini Foursquare going up. So I'm going to be talking about receiving antennas or beverages in my next time I'm on, which is probably in 2 weeks. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And I'm going to head it over to DX Engineering, one of my favorite stores.
I want to tell you a little bit about our good friends over at DX Engineering. They offer practically everything you need to outfit your shack. And there's something brand new at DX Engineering now. It's called the Custom Cable Builder. Here's how it works. You can use it to make custom cable and ground braid assemblies, almost any connector or any cable. Here's how it works. You go through the list and you figure out what high-quality DX Engineering cable you want. RG231, 8X, 8U, 400 Max, RG6, whatever you want, it's there. Then choose the connectors that you need. PL259, BNC, Ns, Fs. You can mix and match as well, so you don't have to have, 259s on each end. If you want a 259 on one end and a BNC on the other, well, fine, no problem whatsoever. Your next question is, how long do you want your cable assembly to be? You can do short jumpers. You can also do well over 100 feet. It's completely and totally up to you because it's your custom cable. And once you have your custom specs filled out, you click Add to Cart, and you're done, son. DX Engineering's top techs will build your custom cable assemblies, and they will get them to you quickly. And because they are rigorously high-pot tested before they leave the DX Engineering facility in Ohio, you know they're going to be good. And in most cases, you'll get them in just a few days straight to your door. You can also use DX Engineering Custom Cable Builder to create custom ground braid assemblies. You select the ground braid you want, the ring terminal sizes you need, click, and done. Great tool for custom grounding systems for your shack and for your tower as well. It's easy to use and it's intuitive. It'll save you time. You won't have to stress about building your own assemblies. You know, there's a bit of skill involved in soldering these things on here, especially end connectors. You'll save time, you'll save money, you'll save headaches since you're only buying the exact length of cable you need to complete your coax runs. Everything you need to know is at dxengineering.com. Go there, try it out. No obligation until you complete the purchase. And you can see all the connector and cable options you have to build your cable right there at dxengineering.com. And of course, anytime you have any questions whatsoever, the DX Engineering Tech Help will be there to bail you out, hold your hand, say a nice word, whatever. And DX Engineering will ship faster than anybody else in the industry. You know that. You get your ground shipping order in by 10 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, and it's in stock. It'll be on a truck headed your way that day. It's simple. It's proven products plus expert advice, and that makes DX Engineering the go-to guys. DX Engineering will help you shrink the globe. Request a catalog. Shop online 24/7 at dxengineering.com. DX Engineering, thank you so much for your support of Ham Nation.
And thank you, Don. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Well, now Dale is here with us tonight, and he's got some more great, I guess we call them viewer videos.
I believe so. They are videos from the users out there. George really enjoyed all the talk and conversation about the early computers this evening when you were talking earlier. Amazing. My first computer was a Southwest Technical Products computer, 6800 processor, and I thought I bought all the memory I'd ever need, and that was 12K. And today, my Mac has 32 gigs in it. So amazing world we live in, right? So
yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, let's get it moving. Get some videos on the air for you. Tonight, a short event video, an interesting portable operation, and a pep talk to encourage everyone to get on the air. Well, the Valley Center Amateur Radio Club sponsored the Greater Wichita Area Hamfest this past weekend in downtown Wichita. Since I was in town for the event, I decided to experiment a bit and create a short video with my phone. lessons learned here. Don't depend on the built-in image stabilization in the phone. Hold it a little more steady. Might get a small table tripod or something like that. The project was still a lot of fun, though, and it shows what you can do with only your phone. So now you can create a video and send it to us for display here on the video segment on Ham Nation. Well, let's travel to Europe now. We're going to visit the flora and fauna in rural Sweden. Staffan, SM3JGG, sent us this video that really illustrates the ingenuity of hams worldwide. Check out how they raised their antenna for a portable operation. You'll probably get a kick out of it.
Nu är det dags att sätta upp antennen här.
Well, this video was taken during a recent SMFF activation. Shows a different, quick, easy, and funny way to put up an antenna for portable operations. As that develops, we'll provide a little background about the events over there for our audio podcast listeners. The two hams in the video are Frederick, SM3XZF, and his brother Andreas, SM3WEH. They were activating SMFF 2153. You're probably wondering what SMFF stands for, and it stands for Swedish Flora and Fauna. And there are more than 8,000 different protected areas in Sweden included in the SMFF. Operating from these areas is a very popular sport for hams in Sweden. They make most of their QSOs on 80 and 40 meters. Here they go raising that antenna. During a normal portable SMFF activation, Swedish hams take around or make around 50 QSOs in about an hour. Many of the SMFF areas are compatible with WFF, and that stands for the World Flora and Fauna. And when the operators include 20 and 30 meter operation, they normally work about 150 contacts in 2 to 3 hours during one of these activations. We'll watch now as they begin to operate a little CW.
Ja, tack för det. Well, thanks, Stefan, for sending us that video for display here on Ham Nation. Well, finally, most of us these days are familiar with moving around the country ever so many years. And Dean, N4AKJ, sent us a video describing his quest for a new ham shack, and he's building a strong case for you to get on the air.
Hello, this is N4AJK, formerly N6AJK, and I want to share my ham radio story. In 2008, I moved from Southern California to South Carolina, and it was quite a shock. We had a lot of problems in our moving, and when I got here, I didn't know a soul, and I didn't have any radio equipment, so I didn't know what to do. So I just started looking around, and I did have some equipment. I had a old handheld from the 1990s, but it worked perfectly fine, but the battery was bad. But then I also had the AC adapter where I could plug it in and I could run the radio. So now I had power and I had a radio. I needed an antenna. Well, a dear friend of mine, N6 BBA, who's passed away since, he actually made me a collapsible J-pole that I put up and I taped on it, of course, so it stayed together, but it worked fine. Now, my last problem was I had no coax. So we had a dish for our TV network, and they cut down from one dish, they cut down from 2 dishes to 1 dish. And in the process, they left the coax in the ground. So I got a shovel, I dug up the coax, I soldered on some PL259s on both ends. I know there's a mismatch, but I hooked it to my radio, and sure enough, I got a signal out. And I started talking to the local repeater. And I started checking in, started knowing the guys in the club, became a member of the club, and then over time, my ham radio equipment grew. I had more radios here. I even got back on HF, which I love dearly. I talked to some very unusual people to send me cards when I send them cards. And I even worked up to now being one of the net controls for the station. So the moral of the story is this: do whatever you need to do to get on the air. You get a signal on the air and wonderful things will happen. This is N4AJK. Hope to catch you on the air.
Well, thanks, Dean. We hope to work you some evening on the 40-meter post-show net. And thanks to your son, Kellen, KK4UIG, for recording the video for you. Well, that's it for tonight. We look forward to seeing your shack soon. We have almost half of the Show Me Your Shack episode gathered so far. So send your photos in, get in the next one, and send us links to some videos too. And just address those via email to hamnationvideos@twit.tv. Well, the net may be on tonight, but it may not. The solar storm is wreaking havoc, and on Twitter, I'm receiving all kinds of reports. Nobody can hear anybody, and I really can't hear anybody here in the Wichita area. So we're going to give it a try after the broadcast, see what happens. But in the meantime, Amanda's up next with news and questions from the chat room. And let's switch now to our Canyon City, Colorado studios. Good evening, Amanda. How's it going?
Oh, very good. I'm sorry. My dog here wants to have attention, so Aspen is in the lower corner of my screen right now. Anyhow, good evening, everybody. Let's get right to the announcements first. Couple of Hamfest to announce. There's going to be one on Halloween in, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, you guys. I'm sorry. Aransas Pass, Texas. Look for that on October 31st. Also, the National Fire Prevention Week is this week, so look for November 2 Foxtrot on the air until October 10th. And one of our local viewers into KOJ is running that station, so thanks so much, Eric, and have fun doing that. Next thing we have Colby Hamfest in Colby, Wisconsin, and that comes up this Saturday, October 12th. So I hope you guys can get around to those. With that, just a couple of questions here. I do believe George is on, right?
Howdy.
You're here. Okay, great. George, we have a ladder line question. How does 450 ohm ladder line radiate when the currents cancel each other out? And he's speaking of when ladder line is used as feed line.
I think, let me see how best to approach that. What's being canceled out is the radiation off of the ladder line. Since it's a balanced antenna line, when the signal is swinging positive on one of those wires, it's swinging negative on the other one. So nothing is radiated off the wire itself. So the signal's got to go somewhere. So it goes out the end of the wire. I hope that's a good explanation. I don't know. I wasn't expecting that question. I wish Gordo was here to bail me out on that one.
Indeed. I thought Gordo was going to be here. That's why I saved that question. But hey, you know, that's a good answer. So thanks, George, for that explanation. And Val, so nice to have you on tonight. Just a couple of things. First, there's a couple of questions. Any reports from SEDCO from this last weekend?
You know what? I was still a little bit under the weather. I really didn't take photographs and videos like I should have. It was all I could do. I mean, I wasn't even going to go. I was going to cancel at the last minute and ended up going. So unfortunately, no, I don't have any. But we had a blast. It was lots of great presentations from a lot of great operators and DXpeditions, and fun was had by all. It's definitely a great event to attend.
Very good. And the next question, people were, they loved, by the way, your story with Jerry. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That was awesome. But one person wanted to know, what was Lithuania's prefix for their call signs before they left Russia? Do you think it was just a Russian prefix then?
It was Uniform Papa. As a matter of fact, I have a Lithuanian card from before there. And there's Jerry when he worked and when he was WD9HAD on 160 back in the olden days before they separated from the Soviet Union. So there you go.
That is cool.
And he never got a card from, just so you know, from Tadas. Tadas, he was so frantic by what was going on. I mean, it had to be awful to see all these people getting killed and things. So he never even logged the call signs. So I'm not sure how the president of Lithuania was able to notify all that. But I know they did send that letter to Jurgen and to Jerry. I'm not sure how many other ham radio operators around the world got those letters, but that was pretty cool.
Now, I got to tell you, I'm going to wait for the Facebook story on this when you guys all have like this reunion 20 years from now and they all get together. Wouldn't that be the coolest? You got to talk to Jerry about that. Okay. Yeah. Other than that, let's see. Just a quick kind of roundtable question here. And George, I'm really going to send this to you, but I'm sure Dale might have his opinions as well. What coax is better, tinned or bare copper braid in the center?
Tinned or bare copper braid in the center. Well, the braid is around the outside of it. So what I don't know how to answer that. I would say tinned. I like tin better because the tin is not going to corrode like bare copper would.
Very good. Dale, what's your preference?
Not too much to add. I would agree with George there. I think the tin would be much better in that situation, Amanda.
Okay. And that was from Kevin there in New Zealand, ZL1KFN. Thanks, Kevin, for the question. Appreciate that. And other than that, Val, I know you're going to give us some tips and tricks for the CQWW contest coming up on October 24th, right? We should expect that in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. That's the granddaddy of them all. So get ready. Go practice on those phone phrases on Tuesday night, plus all those contests going on this weekend, and get all ready for the big CQ Worldwide Sideband coming up at the end of the month. And then, of course, CQ Worldwide CW, which is last year it didn't, but usually almost always falls on Thanksgiving, and it will this year. So, or the weekend of Thanksgiving, I should say. So.
Now, what is a phone fray?
It's a phone contest on Tuesday nights. You know what? I have not been in it. I have commitments on Tuesday night, but I'm not sure how long it is. It's only a couple hours or so, maybe even only an hour. I'm not quite sure because I have not been in it, but a lot of our SMC buddies get in that contest and are always posting their scores on Tuesday nights in our reflector. So it seems to be very popular. I know Matt Walsh, our mentor that we had here, he did those 2 weeks in a row before he came out to our shack, just so he could have a little bit of contesting skill under his belt before he got out here for that contest. So it's a really good way to just kind of get started out in contesting or to hone your skills.
Very good. Well, hey, you guys, that's all I have for tonight. So wonderful show as always. Thanks, everybody. And I'll send it over to you, George. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. Great to have everyone with us tonight. Before we go, Val, any final parting words of wisdom?
No words of wisdom. I leave that up to you guys.
Okay. All right, Dale, what about you? Anything you want to leave our audience with tonight?
No words of wisdom either. However, if you've got a phone and it's got a video camera in it and you'd like to show off your ham club or some of your knowledge on Ham Nation, we'd sure like to get your videos in, just send them to Ham Nation Videos at twit.tv. And don't forget the shack photos either. We've got a lot of good ones that have come in since the last time we did a Show Me Your Shack a couple of weeks ago. And we'd like to get your shack out there for everyone to see also. So send them in. We'll get them on the air for you. And that's about it, George.
All right. Thanks, Dale. Any final words, Amanda?
Well, it is October, so everybody, if you're into Aries, make sure you pay attention to when your Aries group is getting ready to do their simulated emergency tests. Some might do them this weekend, and some will be a few weeks after. So if you're interested in Aries, definitely find out what's going on in your area. Pay attention and see how you can get involved. That's all I've got. Thanks, George.
Okay. And I do want to mention that Tommy, N5ZNO, myself, and Peter Verrett, VK3PB, and another possible previous host will be hosting the 10th anniversary episode of amateurlogic.tv at live.amateurlogic.tv this Saturday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, 0100 UTC. Join us there if you're looking for something to do Saturday night. If not, you can download it a couple of days later. We're going to look back at 10 years of video podcasting for amateur radio. Thanks, everyone, for being here with us tonight. Next week, we should have Don back. I believe Bob will be back with us, too, from Pacificon. Gordo will be on the road, but we'll be back for another exciting episode. 73, and good luck in the contest.